Hey, hey, this is another episode of the Big Red Wrap Up Live. Big Red Wrap Up Live. Last night, the Steelers took a loss to the Buffalo Bills last night, 26-7. Um, th- it's but it was also a beginning of something that hadn't happened since Mike Tomlin came aboard in '07. The Steelers pretty much have finally reached the fan base have pretty much finally reached the level of frustration with Mike Tomlin more than ever, and that's putting it lightly. They booed him. They cried out for him to be fired, and it brings back memories of when Woodson was on his way out at Indiana. The fans got so frustrated that they kept on chanting, singing the same chant, "Far, far Woodson." But instead of "Far Woodson," in this case, it was "Far Mike Tomlin." Tomlin, he has ran his course like this, like pretty much like they said on First Take. Stephen A. Even he had to admit that it was time for Mike Tomlin to go. You've been in that mediocrity state for so long, or pretty much a decade. Plus 18, I think Tom has been there for 18 years. Still haven't won a Super Bowl. Been to a Super Bowl since 2010. And, yeah, during that time, and he's been there for 18 years. And like I said, the fan base can go so far with you. They really can, and they really can. And if they can, and if they and if it comes to a place where they are during a cycle, which the Steelers have been enduring for so long, over and pretty much on a drought right now, as far as the playoffs, that sooner or later the cup's gonna run over. The cup really is gonna run over. Yeah, I think that's what happened the other day. At Pittsburgh when far as his fan base is fried. The Steeler Nation is fried because they endured so much. They sort of remind me of the of a Hoosier basketball, Hoosier fan base. But in this case, the Steeler Nation has been fried some more. And they're pretty much cooked. And they finally expressed themselves. And I kind of predicted it was going to come sooner or later because you cannot hold that frustration in any longer. When it comes to a coach that you know that isn't doing much of nothing, that you know is living on borrowed time. That's what Mike Tomlin has done in Pittsburgh. He pretty much all you had to do is this. Here's pretty much was the cycle. I produce a winning season, above 500 season, and I'm pretty much coming back next year. And soon, but sooner or later, that cycle gets old, and gets old real fast. It really does. And then, well, I'm kind of glad. I'm kind of glad as a fan that it came finally came to pass because it's far from time for hard as Mike Tomlin to go. He should have went 5 years ago. He should have went when the Steelers uh, uh, choked it. Had that one year where they started off undefeated, I think 11-0, and then I'm losing to the Browns in the playoffs. He should have went that year. Shoot, because that was a Super Bowl. That was a Super Bowl year. It really was. It was one of those years when the Steelers could have should have won the Super Bowl. But when you place a good team in the hands of somebody that don't know how to coach them, them are the results. And when you place a head guy, and then the head guy surrounds himself with coaches that don't know how to coach to save their life, yeah, that's when you know it's time for him to go. It's time for him to go. That's why poor. You go down to the quarterback situation. My goodness, my goodness, it makes no sense. It really doesn't. Though he see he's just so stubborn. He really is. He thinks he knows more than everybody in the room. He's in other words, he's too smart for his own good. Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, is just one of those coaches that is too smart for his own good. You know, and anytime that's what it would look like with his fancy words and things like that. That's a bunch of that's smoke. And when it comes down to this the foolish loyalty, that's one of the reasons why the fans expressed themselves the way they did. It's the foolish loyalty, foolish loyalty. The guys like Mason Rudolph that you know, at least you should know, it isn't going to help you. Mason Rudolph, number two. If a guy gets let go by the Titans, if a guy gets let go or couldn't turn the Titans around, uh, what makes you think he's going to do with be any help for the Pittsburgh Steelers? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But when you deal with a guy that for some reason has a very sick addiction to foolish loyalty, he really does. He sees things that we don't see. So, I just don't, like I said on my live show, the ISC, what do you see? What does he see that the fans don't see? That he starts guys that don't deserve to start. You see, he struggled. See, Mason Rudolph struggled in Chicago. You seen him struggle in Chicago, but for some reason he thinks if I keep on giving him starts after start, he's gonna change. But sorry, some players are that's just the way some players are. You cannot change the makeup of a player that has shown you who they really are. And that's what and that's Mason. It is what it is. Some players are it is what it is players, and that's what Mason what he is. That's why and don't get me started about the coaching staff in general, especially with Terrell Austin. They had his defense gashed. They 249-58. But in the mind of Tomlin, he doesn't see any problem with it. See, this is what I'm talking about. I'm pretty much just going on what reviewing what I said on my show. In the mind of Tomlin, he doesn't see that this guy he sees this guy is still doing a bang up job. I don't see no problem with him. That's what he said. A guy whose defense got gashed the other day, 249-58. Somebody tell me something. How can you sit up there as a head coach and come to that conclusion that the guy is still doing a good job despite being his defense being gashed up the other day, 249-58. That's a 191-yard difference. Oh shoot! That's what I'm saying. You got when it comes to the loyalty factor to Tom, you got guys out there like Stephen A. That has no choice but to come to the conclusion that we've been crying about for over 10 years. That Mike Tomlin needs to be gone. That needs to be out of Pittsburgh because you can't deny it no more. No one can deny it no more. Nobody can be an apologist to Mike Tomlin, head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, anymore. If you do, you're living in a wonderland. You really are. If you continue to be an apologist to Mike Tomlin, my goodness, you're a good one. In the words of one of my friends, you're a good one. Because we see it. We see it. There is no excuse. That's why he had to admit it. Mike Tomlin, even Mike Tomlin had to admit it. I don't blame the fans for getting upset. Yeah, because what excuse could he have dug up? That could make him escape the frustration of the fan base. They gave him a way out as far as the frustration of the fan base. He's out of excuses now. He knows that he ain't doing a good job. That's being light. To take it lightly. He knows. He knows. And T.J. Watt, my goodness, seeing him walking up and down the sideline, I know he's getting tired. Nothing to say to Tomlin. Walk past him, and they bumped into him. Because it's the same old rerun since 2016. See, no coach should ever be bigger than the franchise, the program, or the organization. No coach should ever be bigger than that big. And Rooney, my goodness, that's why Rooney is time. You have to man up. You have to man up and make the right decision for the organization, for the franchise. Or people are not going to go to the games, and you are going to lose money. See, that's one thing about it. One thing to get a general manager or the head guy's attention is not to go to the games. Become an empty seat. That will get the big guy's attention every time. Because every person equals money. Every person in that stadium equals money for that stadium, for the organization, for the franchise. But if you become an empty seat, you losing money. That's why I understand the loyalty to Mike Tomlin over the years. This is the 18th year. And like I said, it's been I think the last time the Steelers won it was 2009, I think. I don't got my towel with me. I lost it in the move. But I think the last time the Steelers won it. Won the Super Bowl. In 2009 and it's 2016 for now, right now. That's pretty much pretty much 19 years ago. 16 years ago. Yeah, 16 years ago. Yeah, 16. And Mike Tomlin's been there for 18 years. So 16 of the 18 years, the Steelers haven't come close to winning the Super Bowl. Haven't come close. They've been to some AFC Championship games to be turned back by the Patriots. But man, it just tells the story right there. It really does. It tells the story right there. You can, like I say, you cannot get more plain than what the fan base did the other day. You can get more plain than that. You really can't. You can't get more plain than that. Its fan base is fried and tarred, and it finally came. The moment finally came. And like I say, this fan base is fried and tarred when they boo Renegade. That is a tradition of every Steeler football game. The waving of the towels and that song coming on the PA, on the speakers. That is a tradition. And you know the fans are tired when that song gets booed. Renegade, man. Because they're tired. They're tired of the show. And that's what this franchise pretty much has turned into. Just one big old show. And this pretty much just smoke. It's one big old show. Man. Yep, that's all. It's one big old show. But I pray my Steelers do the smart thing, the wise thing, and let this guy go. Let this guy go. Cause that was the point. That was the breaking point. The last night against Buffalo. Yeah, that was the breaking point. And sometimes, yeah, and I know, we know he's a player's coach. T.J. Watt likes him. I guess Cam Hayward likes him, but sometimes you gotta do things for the franchise and let the chips fall where they may. You really do, because you can't. Because like I said, no one, no player, no coach should never be bigger than the franchise, than the organization. I don't care if it's Cam. I don't care if it's T.J. Watt. No player or coach should ever be bigger than the franchise, than the organization. That's all it's to it. Yeah, that was the problem when Ben was there. They hung on to him too long. It's all it's to it. And it got to be old was and stay with him until he finally retired. Yeah, that's the problem with this organization. They have a problem when it comes to letting go. Yeah, because they used to having the success with in their bubble. No Quack Howard and a little bit of Tomlin in Tomlin. But when it comes to but sometimes you get pushed outside the bubble. And yesterday it was that time. The fans are trying to are getting tired of the bubble. They're getting tired of the bubble because they want to change. In other words, they want to change. And that's the problem with the Steelers. They want to stay in that side of that bubble, milk whoever's the coach, milk whoever the player as long as they can. But sooner or later, you have to change as an organization. You can't stay in that bubble. You can't stay in the same old, same old. You just cannot be satisfied as an organization. In the words of Stephen A., it's about the Steelers. It's about the Steelers. And I really don't see unless you, as far as whoever will want them, unless you are the Browns, unless you are the Dolphins, unless you are the Carolina Panthers, yeah, I see that because they will be happy to have them. You win every year, but that's it. See, them organizations don't have the history of the Steelers. The Steelers are used to winning and winning Super Bowls, with the Super Bowls being more important than the latter. The Steelers, organization like the Steelers, go a little further than organizations like the Panthers and the Dolphins and whoever it may be. They go a little farther than the wins. That's the reason why that's the reason why the fans acted the way they acted the other day. They want to go a little further than just the wins. That's the reason why they say what they're saying. That's the reason why they express themselves the way they expressed themselves last night. They want to go further, or more than past just the wins. That's what they want to do. But it was something else. Kind of found, kind of glad, like I said, kind of glad it came to finally came to the head, came to pass, because it was coming. It was coming. Because you can hold that frustration in for so long as a fan base, and sooner or later, boom, gonna come out. But that's all I got. Yeah, it's another for this one. This is another episode of the Big Red Wrap Up Live on YouTube. I pretty much had to move it because I think, yeah, like I said, one of my tablets browser is outdated, so I can't do transport episodes like I used to. So we just gonna stuff it in with my own YouTube page. So we just decided to stuff it in on my YouTube page and work do what we do from there. But this, like I said, this is gonna I had to do it. This is another episode of the Big Red Wrap Up Live show on YouTube. Y'all have a good one. Have a good week. I'm gone.